the Syrian Free Army, and then we have another group over there, and then we have ISIS. And remember when you backed off because Russia said they were going to send ships over there and you're not going to fuck with Syria? And you got cold feet because you're a pussy? Okay. Back to this blathering idiot.
So, not just from ISIL, but also from the Assad regime. And what, if you will recall, at the West Point speech that I gave, I said we need to put more resources into the moderate opposition, in part because
doesn't that scare a living fuck out of you when he gives a speech?
People we can work with who are Sunni in these Sunni regions, then we're going to continue to have these problems. And so the strategy, both for Iraq and for Syria, is that we will hunt down ISIL members and assets wherever they are.
Yeah.
I will reserve the right to always protect the American people and go after folks who are trying to hurt us wherever they are. But in terms of controlling territory, we're going to have to develop a moderate Sunni opposition that can control territory and that we can work with. The notion that
so now you're siding with the tribes.
Should be putting boots on the ground, I think, would be a profound mistake, and I want to be very clear and very explicit about that.
I got a somewhat snarky email from a casual viewer who said the United States gives a lot of military aid to Saudi Arabia. It's about time they use it. What do you say?
Bingo!
Well, I think that it is absolutely true that we're going to need Sunni states to step up. Not just Saudi Arabia.
Now let's twist it into
like Jordan,
Sunni states.
Arab Emirates, Turkey. They need to be involved. This is their neighborhood. The dangers that are posed
it's their hood, yo.
More directed at them right now than they are us. And
how does he know about
the conversation that John Kerry is going to be having this week.
Oh, John Kerry.
I sent him there after we left the NATO meeting in Wales.
That's a loss.
And the good news is, I think, for perhaps the first time, you have absolute clarity that the problem for Sunni states in the region, many of whom are our allies, is not simply Iran. It's not simply a Sunni Shia issue.
Really?
Sunni extremism, as represented by ISIL, is the biggest danger that they face right now. And with that understanding, it gives us the capacity for them to start getting more active and more involved. And by the way, some of that's military, but some of it is giving political support to Baghdad.
And you formed this opinion because your father is Kenyan.
Shia leaders in Baghdad. Some of it is reaching out
your
to
middle name is Hussein, so that makes you a fucking Muslim.
So that they can fight their own battles to free villages and regions where they live. So they've got a big role to play. And finally,
towns, cities,
a strategic messaging. One of the things we've seen about ISIL is they're really good on social media. They understand
powerful words when you say villages
to disaffected youth throughout the Arab world and throughout the Sunni world what they're doing. And the question is, when are the moderate Sunni states and leadership going to work systematically to say what ISIL represents isn't Islam, it is an abortion, a distortion, an abomination that has somehow tied Islam to the kind of nihilistic thinking.
They're going to jump in when you grow a set of nuts.
Did you see those messages they sent to you, naming you when they beheaded these American journalists? They had messages addressing you personally.
Key thing here.
I review as part of our overall counterterrorism effort.
Obfuscation.
All the social media that many of these groups, and these are.
Did you see the fucking videos of the heads getting cut off?
This is increasingly the way that the recruiting, particularly among foreign fighters, and we need a much more effective counter narrative, and it can't come from us. I mean,
really?
I'm just curious, when they address you like that and they behead an American, I mean, how does that impact you?
Well,
it's okay in his mind. He's Muslim.
it's not so much how it affects
Come on, Hussein.
me personally.
It doesn't affect you personally. You went golfing.
And family members of these folks who are affected. That never goes away.
What a
And
fuck.
you understand that.
Why are you putting it on the white dude? He understands.
The way to vindicate the love and concern that these families have is to make sure we've got a good policy, a smart policy that prevents these kinds of things.
It's not coming from your administration, you fuck.
We're essentially putting aside that priority that Assad must go because ISIS is a more direct threat.
You know, the reason we're in this situation is because Assad
No, you
brutalized
backed
people,
down from fucking Russia and didn't go fucking take the
specifically
fucker out.
brutalized a Sunni population that is
Yeah.
majority
Oh, okay.
in Syria.
All right. And Iraq did the same
It's going to be
thing.
hard for us to attract Sunnis to fight against ISIL in this area if they think that we're doing it on behalf of Assad. So
Really?
Our attitude towards Assad continues to be that through his actions, through using chemical weapons on his own people, dropping barrel bombs that killed
Barrel bombs.
innocent children.
Barrel
he
bombs.
is foregone.
Killed children. Didn't kill innocent women and
When
men.
it comes to our policy
children.
and the coalition that we're putting together,
How the fuck can you not see
specifically
through
is
this
on ISIL.
fucking clown?
It's narrowly on ISIL.
Narrowly
We
on
continue
ISIL.
to look for opportunities, even as we're going after terrorists who could harm Americans and our friends and partners in the region. We'll continue to look for opportunities to see if we can arrive at a political resolution of the challenges of Syria. We're going to need that, but in order to do that, we've got to have a moderate Sunni opposition. But right now in Syria, you've got a choice in the minds of a lot of people between
Come on.
radical Sunni extremists
Yeah.
or Assad.
Yeah.
But
That's not a choice.
That's not a choice.
Yeah.
We've got, and what we know is that there are millions of decent, good Sunnis, many of whom have been displaced. They're in Turkey, they're in Jordan. Many of them are still in Syria.
Okay, so why are they not fighting for their own fucking
these two
country?
extremes.
This
And we've got to be able to
interviewer
reach
is such a
to
pussy.
them, find a military and political structure that allows them to express themselves. Then maybe we can get the kind of political resolution that we need.
Yeah.
A few other topics.
Okay.
Ebola. There's some.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we're going to Ebola.
Obviously, it's something that Africa's trying to get its hands around, but there's obviously
Listen close.
anxiety in the United States. So how concerned are you, and how concerned should Americans be?
Well, Americans shouldn't be concerned about the prospects of contagion here in the United States short term.
Short
because
term.
This is not an
Short
airborne disease.
term. You know, short
Where's your
term.
short term?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
He's
It's
gonna
not an
get to
airborne
it.
disease like the flu. You can only catch it through the transmission of bodily fluids. Where
Time
you have
out.
a strong public health infrastructure, then typically a person who's identified or
Time out right there. You can only get it through personal contact. Now, here's my thing on personal contact to get Ebola. So, these West African countries, what are they doing? Having fucking orgies? Gangbangs? Group sex? Community sex? What are they, walking up to each other and kissing each other and spreading the shit? Please, motherfuckers, don't buy into this. It has to be a bodily fluid transmitted disease. No one's ever gonna fucking prove me wrong on that.
person who's identified or a couple of people who are identified as having the virus, isolate them, run through a real tight protocol, and it gets contained pretty effectively. The problem that we've got is in right now a limited portion of Western Africa
Limited.
Especially in Liberia, but also Sierra Leone,
That means
Guinea.
Tragically, a part of Africa that economically had been...
Okay, so you named off two countries, but it's in
They've
four.
been making some significant progress, but they didn't have a public health infrastructure. So now what you have is what should be a containable problem breaking loose because people aren't being quarantined properly, people aren't being trained properly, there aren't enough public health workers. So what I've said, and I said this 2 months ago to our national security team, is we have to make this a national security priority. We have to mobilize the international community, get resources in there. We're going to have to use
It's going to be U.S. effort.
as usual, and we're going to have to get...
Time out. So it's an international thing. Doesn't this come down to the UN? No. Stand by, because he has an answer for this.
As usual, and we're going to have to get U.S. military assets just to set up, for example, isolation units and equipment there.
Like the UN can't
to
do
provide
that?
security for public health workers surging from around the world.
The World Health
If we do
Organization
that,
can't
then
do
it's
that?
still going to be months before this problem is controllable
So,
in Africa.
your
But it
fucking
shouldn't
punk
reach our
ass
shores.
is
Now,
going to
here's
put it on the
last
U.S.
comment I'm gonna
military.
make. If we don't make that effort now, and this spreads not just through Africa but other parts of the world, there's the prospect then that the virus mutates, it becomes more easily, and then it could be a serious danger to the United States.
Okay. So the next thing he's going to say is this has become a national security fucking issue. So he's going to fucking send our troops over there to build these hospital tents and containment facilities. And after they do that, then they are going to have to guard the fucking... Well, he's probably not going to say that, but that'll be the next thing. Trust me on this. So instead of the UN and the World Health Organization jumping in and doing this shit, he's gonna fucking say, oh, well, you know, we have the United States military, which he doesn't give a fuck about. So now he's gonna put his troops at risk. Just after he got done saying that, you know, he's not putting boots on the ground in fucking Syria and Iraq. Oh, did I tell you that the other day he sent another 350 over there? So this is like Vietnam all over again. Yeah, we're going to send 100. We're going to send 150 more. Now we're going to send 350 more. Can you not see what this... Dude, take off your leather shoes and put some tennis shoes on and fucking go play some basketball, or put your golf shoes on and go golf, because you do not have a fucking clue what the fuck you're doing. Okay, now I'll let him go on.
And then it could be a serious danger to the United States. This is an example of where U.S. leadership is important in dealing with crisis, but it's also an argument for why when I go before Congress and I say, let's give some public health aid to countries like Liberia so that they can set up hospitals and nurses and vaccinations, etc. You know, sometimes, you know, the American public says, why are we wasting money on them? Well, part of it is because, you know, when we make those short-term investments now, it really pays off a lot of dividends in the future.
Time out. Could it be because he doesn't want this shit to get spread to fucking Kenya, his father's homeland? Just a question. This interviewer's fucking gutless.
You made a decision to delay any executive action until after the election. What do you tell the person that's going to get deported before the election?
We're not going into the immigration
this decision
shit.
was essentially made in your hopes that you made a decision to delay.
So, that's the end of that. I don't give a fuck what he's got to say about immigration, because it's all fucking lies and bullshit. Thanks for sticking it out with me.